Is Warren joining us?
He might. So far, he's not here. I'll have to keep my eyes on the switchboards, you know.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. There we are. Okay, we're live on YouTube. Now waiting on this. Down to 31 seconds. If I get any screeching, then I'll mute my mic, okay?
Okay. I can get under my blankies. That's what I'm going to do.
Here we go. Hello. Anyhow, so let's see if they can hear me out there. We have Holly with us. We have Off the Grid. And Rhonda. I screwed that up, didn't I? Okay. I'm trying to get Blog Talk going here, people. Just bear with me. Okay, I don't know if they'll be able to hear Blog Talk in the show because of the way I've called in. But we'll see. Skype has still messed everything up for me. But I'm here and I have Anna with me. And Anna, hello. Welcome to the show.
G'day, g'day, g'day. How you doing?
Good, good. Now, can anybody hear me in our chat? This is all new again. I mean, last night Jerry and I had some issues going on. And
yeah, so we're doing like a sound check really now, right?
yeah, that's sort of what I'm doing. I want to see if these people that are in this chat can actually hear us. So if they could just say yes, they hear us, then I would know. Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. Just because last night we had issues and tonight, hooking to Blog Talk since they've updated this new version of Skype and changed the format is playing hammy, okay? I bring people in VIA through Skype a lot of times, especially like if they're out of the country, because otherwise they have to pay international charges to call into Blog Talk Radio, or I have to pay high dollar to have that toll-free number for them to call in for. So it plays hammock, so I bring them in VIA through Skype, and that's how they can be live on Blog Talk Radio and live up here on YouTube. But I hook up to Blog Talk Radio so that you know through Skype 90% of the time. But since Skype has done its update and reformatted everything, now when I hook to Blog Talk Radio, it's not giving me the option to add anybody. It's really messing with me. So
it's
a
case of trying to reconfigure.
Yeah. And so until I can figure out how to get this thing to where to let me bring people in VIA through Skype when I'm hooked to Blog Talk, I was forced to hang up on Blog Talk and use my home phone, okay, to hook up. Now, I haven't muted the mic. I'm through the phone, so I'm on speakerphone for Blog Talk Radio. And then, of course, I'm using VIA, the mic here up on YouTube, so I was making sure I didn't get any feedback from being hooked to the phone plus it, but maybe the headset's helping prevent that. I can't say what kind of signal they're getting over on Blog Talk Radio right now, how well they're hearing me or anything, because I ain't got no callers. Maybe Warren will call in here in a little while, and he'll be able to tell me if he hears me or not.
Huh. So, how's your loneliness going?
Well, you know how it goes. We live in a world that's very, very evil, sadistic, and the programming has done a number on both genders.
I
And
got a question. I got a question though. Since the advent of the internet and how that has impacted the dating scene, then is it a good effect, or is it like fast food takeaway dating now?
oh, I would say it's like fast food dating
Yeah.
because people don't know what love is anymore.
Mhm.
I mean, you really look at the reality is people are using each other
Mhm.
and spitting each other out. You know, the sad thing is because of gender roles and programming in society, is one-sidedness. Is a lot about one-sidedness, double standards to create more division, of course, as we understand, to create more fighting. But it's also led to a lot of men not being able to get anybody in their life and then becoming the blame for not being able to get anybody in their life through no choice of their own, but so social conditioning machine and the programming. And yes, I waited for people to ridicule Anna here and say, well, she's a female and she's the reason they live TFL, but she's only one female. You better remember that.
Yeah, I'm not a representative of all the women out there, that's for sure. I speak only from my own experience. But I was thinking about the whole how the internet has impacted dating and romance and broken up relationships, etc. Because it seems to me that we've become a very visual oriented society, and so we have image is more important than substance, and that's not just in dating. If you look, people will choose someone for a career based on their online LinkedIn profile or their online resume, but they're not really looking at whether that person has, it's almost like that's a filter. That's the first start. That's the filter. Just they're not looking at whether that person has the qualities or experience for that particular job. And it's the same. So if a relationship's a job, I guess it could be, but it's almost like we're looking at relationships in the same way. Oh, look, there's their little online resume and in this dating site, and there's their little photo, and then when we finally meet the person face to face, do they measure up to their own hype, and what kind of expectations are we putting forth when we just see a photo on a screen?
Unfortunately, because of the programming and social conditioning and people like Dan and Jen up on YouTube who did nothing but focus on dating, because of this mentality that's been pushed, what the outcome of that really has become to be is the woman writes what I like to refer to as the hit list. She writes up the list of expectations that the guy's supposed to be able to meet. And she's told by people like Dan and Jen to not accept any guy that can't meet the expectations that you wrote up on your list and keep moving on until you find somebody that meets it. But the problem is they're living, these women that do this and follow this advice becomes to live in a bubble because now they reject every guy in sight based on the stuff that they put on that list. And if they do meet a guy that's breaking his butt to meet that list, that'll be a big waste of his time and everybody's time because what will happen is as he starts meeting the list, she'll be creating a new list and a new list and it'll never end. And it's all one-sidedness. It's
Right.
completely one-sidedness and the guy don't really, I mean, the guy's nothing more than a pawn or a tool or an ATM machine. His feelings, his emotions, his wants, needs don't count because
Right.
today's society has said everything's centered to the woman, and his
I
job
think
is to cater to the woman.
right, and I think on the other side, um, I like for picking up on what Warren said last week. Warren made a statement about a woman, well, she's not really a 10, she's a 7 or a 8. And that whole way, a scale that is used to judge women by their appearance, a 10 or a 7 or whatever it is. But we don't, if there's, and I get that maybe, I don't know if that's the way men are programmed to measure in that way. If that measurement is used, why do we not use that for, okay, well, she might not be a 10 in her looks according to whatever the standard of beauty is of that day, because that changes all the time too. That's a different program. But she might be a 10 in her heart, or she might be a 10 emotionally, or she might be a 10 in terms of her mental health, you know, things like that. We don't look at all of these other aspects. We're all sort of well, it seems to me that men, and I'm only speaking for me, that maybe that's just the men that I've interacted with are sort of very attracted by the whole look of a person, and perhaps you're right, women are attracted to men for their money and what they can provide and give, and so we're both taking from each other or have these expectations of each other that just don't work.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of lies out there in this programming too. You got Lifetime movie, which is considered pornography towards women. It's directed at women. You got
Yeah.
the love romance books and the novels and all this that's directed at women. And this misleads society in another direction. And I think I'll bring this up because this is true. The mislead is that women don't so much go by looks. They go by this, but that's a lie. That's a complete lie. Women are just as much about looks as men are. It's just they're not going to own up, but society has got people programmed to believe that women ain't what they actually are.
Yeah.
And I can show, there's been thousands of examples put in my face throughout my life that proves without a shadow of a doubt women are not that much different than men. They've had the same programming except for on two separate ends of the pole. But when it comes to the model industry, the fashion industry, and what's put in everybody's face is literally everybody's face. So this is why if you pay attention to, even though it's not good to look at, but just look at it for an example. Pornography. You got porn everywhere, right? So how many times do you see an ugly woman in porn? You
Well,
don't.
it
And
depends
how
on
many
what the
times do you
definition
see
of
an ugly
beauty is.
guy? I know, but let's go reality. How many times, even in let's Penthouse, Playboy, what is it they make for girls? Playgirl or whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
of the men.
Which is usually read by gay men. I don't think women are that visually
Well,
stimulated.
but the thing is even the movies.
Yeah.
How many women do you see in the arms of an ugly man?
That's true. That's true.
I mean,
And
that's
have you ever
really your
noticed too?
example.
Have you ever noticed this, Bill? That they always have the female heroine is generally blonde. Not always, but generally for a long time there, the female heroine was always blonde, and the female bad girl was always a brunette, and the wild, wacky, zany, funny woman was always a redhead. Not always. I mean, there are variations to that, but for a long time that was pretty much those were the stereotypes that they chose. Yeah.
Yes. See, so but I just want to give them examples because I've seen it.
Mm.
And I've experienced it, and a dating site, let's just give you an example, online dating, because that's replaced everything. And the guy has to have his picture up there, and there's plenty of males out here that have played around with this before. They put their real picture up there, and no women gives them the time of day. They wait weeks and weeks and get nobody writing them. They cruise all of these different profiles, and they reply to somebody, and the female sees the picture they posted up there and never replies back, never replies back. So they create another dating site. They go to the same dating site and create another profile. And this
Mm.
time they went out and they found themselves some stud that's, a model type stud guy. And they took
Mm.
that picture and they put it up there and claimed to be that person. And suddenly they had woman after woman replying to them and coming on them and saying, hey, blah, blah, wanting to know them.
Yeah.
See, right there literally tells you the real truth, okay? Because it's in your face. And I've seen
Now,
so many people.
are those women who approach the stud guy? Are they looking for a relationship, or are they just looking for a fast one night stand?
I
You know?
think it's a combination. I think you have some that's looking for the relationship, as in the ATM machine. What's in this for me? You have a percentage that are just looking for the one night stand.
Mm,
Women ain't that much different than the guy. They want to
mm,
be able to show their girlfriends that they got the guy. I mean, I've seen and heard this in real life, and it happens where other women are telling women, "What are you doing with him? You can do better than that."
right, right.
Okay? And see, all of this is the little tad tale such things that tells the real truth. If
Yeah.
I can take a whole bunch of examples and put them in your face, and as I do it, it'll build a big picture. And that picture shows that they've lied to the world when they said that women do not go by looks, because women do go by looks. Now, of course,
Mm,
remember, it does not apply to every single female. No
mm,
more than when you talk about the male, it applies to every single male, but it
mm.
does apply to the majority only because this is not an accident. This is engineering, it's programming.
Yeah, yeah. Then you have Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, well, that's an illusion. You know, when you have Beauty and the Beast, they Hollywood wanted to make that out that the woman don't go
Yeah.
by looks and she cared for this guy, so much
Well, it.
because blah 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 and felt sorry for him and then got to like him and know him. But in
I always
reality,
think
that's
that
that's
that
a
that's
fantasy.
speaking to like a primal instinct. Anyway, it's like looking for that. The transformation of the that bestial male energy into something like prince-like, isn't it? Something like that. But with her love, that can happen. That's
Yeah.
the message they seem to be pumping through that myth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
See, so I mean, it's maybe the people here in the chat. Have you got any questions for Anna? Anything you want to ask her? Feel free to
Yeah,
shoot away.
please, because I'm here to learn as well and to listen. So I'm interested in what other people's experiences are. Hmm.
Yeah, they're a little bit quiet tonight, ain't they?
Very quiet. Did we put them off last week?
I don't know, man. I mean, and we have Holly who was in here, but it seems that maybe I don't know if Holly's here anymore. Did she
Huh.
leave? Did she hear
I don't.
another female voice and run, or is she actually here? I don't know.
Hmm.
I mean, definitely whoever's in here, go ahead and feel free to talk. But it's like maybe we scared them off. Maybe they're in another time zone. It's a little early for them. And as the show progresses, they'll show up.
Yeah. I've got a question for you though. Always thinking about, all of the different programming that has had an impact on the genders, and one of the ones that we would have to speak to would be, Playboy Hugh Hefner, who, dressing girls up as bunnies and all of that. And I understand that it was, the sexual liberation, and what he was trying to do was throw off his own, I think it was Protestant conditioning, and throw off a lot of those uh, morals and ethics that he had been subjected to when he was growing up, as a way of freeing himself, right? And freeing men, I guess, too. And to a certain extent, women, but only women of a certain age, shall we say, young women. But I just wondered what your take might be on what kind of impression or imprint he might have left on men regarding sexuality and relationships.
Well, my intake on that would be he helped the pornography industry because when you look at society, the majority of people have replaced real love, real relationships with sex.
Yeah.
They associate sex as being love when sex is not love whatsoever.
Mm.
And so when you think about this, there you go. It's so in your face, but it appears we have Warren with us. So I'll go ahead and bring him in. Welcome aboard, Warren.
Hey, how
G'day,
you doing,
Warren.
Bill? I would like to actually share a link with you I dug up today because it actually makes a good point on it. Here, let me dig this link.
If it's something to read, go ahead and read it, Warren. If it's a video, it probably won't come in too well because I have to have that ahead of time. I can't have it at showtime, so.
Not a video.
Yeah, if it's a video, it won't do me any good. I can put it in for next week, but I can't do it now. Yeah.
Says, okay, this is https://ncel.live.r/ncel, a bunch of other crap. Okay, how normies LDAR, which stands for lay down and rot. How normie lay down and rot, analysis of coping among normies in the Cuck Queer subreddit. I want to read this article because it's got a lot of things I want to point out. Over the past week or so, I have been reading most threads and Cuck Queers, and it has taught me one thing is truly certain. Lookism cannot be denied. If you read Cuck Queers, you have no doubt run into quite a large amount of posts with sentiments like the following. No one could ever said looks don't matter. It's just that looks aren't the only thing that matters. You just need looks to get your foot in the door. Almost everyone is able to attract someone, only a tiny amount won't. Natural selection won't work if all men reproduce. A small amount of men can't, and they should accept that. And I or my friends or incels should have come to terms with the fact that I won't find someone, but I'm happy with that because long post leading of fulfilling life without sex. I was actually going to write a post documenting and examining these common themes and Cuck Queer comments before incels close. The point is that even the most frothing of normies acknowledges the truth of lookism and that incels are right, but they have interesting ways of hiding the dissonance. Essentially, they will say that men cannot ever attract a woman, but believe that incels do not fall into this group. It is very odd oversight to make, and I've heard that before. He mentioned that to somebody, say, "Oh, but you're not one of them guys." And they know, you know, they admit the problem exists. They won't tell you you're not one of those guys, and you tell them you're having that problem, right? Just even if we go by very optimistic stats, true cells would be about 3% of the population. That number lines up nicely with the size of incel communities on Reddit and so on, doesn't it? And yet the normies do not grasp that incels are obviously the very demographic they casually mention. The other meme is more blatant. Normie Eldar. Reading one heavily upvoted blue pill comment after another, all expressing the theme of sex, love are not important. I'm basically incel, but I'm fine because I do X, Y, Z. Showed me that the blue pill is a socially acceptable form of cope. Incels cope by making rape memes and being proactive about our fate. And by proactive, I mean acknowledging the unfairness of it and being upset. I'm not saying I agree with the guy on everything, but I'm just reading what he wrote. The normie incels cope by taking an attitude of unyielding absolute acceptance, complete insulating themselves from all sexual and romantic desire, and calling incels cruel names when we don't and inevitably get distressed over our lack of it. A blue pill incel, the kind of normies love, right, which I'll refer, by the way, is what you call the house nigger incel, okay, behaves as an asexual creature, like a microbe. He behaves as if he was never a sexual or romantic being to begin with. He has not lost anything by involuntary celibacy. All he ever had were non-intimate pursuits, and so he enjoys them accordingly. His celibate life is all he could ever wish for. That's the image they put on. But if that was the case, they wouldn't ever frequent incel forums, because why would they identify with incel if they didn't see it as a problem for them? Am I right or am I wrong? Okay. This theme is also found in their common tropes. For example, bringing up the religious figures like the Pope are celibate and still well-adjusted and happy. There's never a challenge to lookism, only an implicit call to accept it. The most blunt of normies will bring up biological arguments such as natural selection in life isn't fair and eerily reminiscent of incel argument. Rather than acknowledge the plight of incels with these perspectives, however, they use these facts to kick and mock incels, telling us that we are indeed genetic trash as an insult. Regardless, their advice to incels is that we don't need sex in relationships. In other words, we can and should accept and adjust to life without it. Normies accept and look at, and they just don't want you to talk about it, right? And I totally agree with everything that he said there. And then someone else responds at the bottom. It says, "Excellent post. Saved it for a way later not attacking you because you can't get women. We're attacking you because you're shitty attitude. Well, here's the problem with that. Most of these guys didn't start off with shitty attitudes. They started off pushed into incel for no reason at all, just because they want supermodels. Okay, they were nice throughout the first 5,000 rejections until they were constantly shat on and dumped on and shit on by society for years and years and years at a time. And according to them, we should just sit there and keep taking it. We're supposed to be house niggers.
Yeah, now let's let
our fucking house niggers.
Yep, let's let Anna give you what she feels about what you just read. Go ahead, Anna.
I could only hear part of it because I'm experiencing some distortion in the sound. But what I would like is, can I get a link to that article? Is there a link or anything? Is that online anywhere? Can you hear me, Warren?
Hey, yo, give me a second. Hey, Anna, you there?
Hello?
Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
I don't know where Anna's at.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
In a little bit, ma'am. I'm going to start me forward. I'll be back before the show's out, hopefully.
Can you hear Anna at all?
No, I can't.
Ah, okay. Because I'm hearing Warren, but it's very distorted. But what I would like is a link to that.
I'll be back in a few.
Okay.
Okay.
I would really like a link to that article because I could only make out certain words and certain terms. And I don't even want to comment unless I know exactly what I'm commenting on, because there was a lot of really important information in that.
I don't know why. I mean, whatever reason was, our people on right here just wrote they can hear all of this. They hear Warren just fine. They hear you and me. So
right.
Up on YouTube, they're hearing everything just fine. That's the internal audio. So
now, are you getting people on chat? Are you getting a feed on live chat? Because I've got no one on my live chat. So
yeah, I've got people in the live chat right now.
I must be on. I bet I've pulled up the wrong damn chat because I got no one on there.
Well, yeah, because you got somebody right here that asked you, "Hi, Anna. I wanted to ask you your opinion on women who suddenly want to date a man after he bulked up and got muscle, but wouldn't date him when he was small and scrawny."
My response to that, my honest response would be, well, it's the same for women. You know, women who are like maybe massively overweight, suddenly they lose all the weight and they get all kind of shapely, so shall we say, and all of a sudden men are all over them. It seems, again, we're looking at that the superficial side of both genders, I guess.
You are. You know, that's right back. That's why you hear me talk about the modeling industry and the movies, what they've put in everybody's face your whole life. Because whether you realize it or not, that's all conditioning and programming. If all you see your whole life in every show you watch, sitcom movies, is you, that's why I said, when did you last see in any sitcom, in any movie, the woman with an ugly guy or the guy with a big obese woman? When do you see that? You don't. Okay?
Right.
This is so important for people to understand. This has all been put in our face our whole life. It's conditioning, it's programming.
Yeah. What was that that one little movie though that they had? It was like little animated movie, and they had the princess who, you know, when he kissed the princess, he was kind of an ordinary sort of like little giant or ogre or something, and he kissed her, and she didn't become this, you know, beautiful fancy princess with a robe or anything. She just became ordinary and kind of plump, and it was a real cute. That was a sort of a little transition from the norm, but yeah, but it doesn't happen very often. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. See, so you know, this is where people really, I mean, this is the reason they hear me always bring up the same thing, and I try to drive it into their head to understand so they can see for themselves how it actually affects people. Okay, what you see your whole life from the time you was a little kid, and what's put in front of you to be the norm that everybody's chasing. I mean, when did you find an ugly cheerleader? Do you know the girls in high school even that go out to be a cheerleader? They have
Yep.
to fit a criteria. And if they
Yep.
don't fit that criteria, they're not allowed.
Yep.
So all people have ever seen from the time they grew up their whole life has been put in their face. So how would you expect it to be any different? If we took a society and we spent 50 years, 60 years taking all of the obese people and putting them as the models, putting them as the top in the movies, that the obese woman's dating this ugly guy and this obese guy's dating this skinny, ugly woman or what have you, and that's all you ever saw, it would actually change the mindset of people, and they would start considering the people they're considering ugly to be the good looking ones, and the ones that are good looking would be considered to be the ugly. Now,
Yep.
you think that's wrong, but that's not wrong. If I spent 50, 60 years and that's all you ever seen, and all of society said that's the attractive, this conditioning mindset would go that direction because it is all programming.
Right. Right. I can't see the chat, Bill. I'm trying to find
You
the.
had to go to TFL at war.
Yep.
Okay. I'll see if I can't send you the ULR. Okay.
Okay. Sorry about
And
that. I'm
that'll
sorry
help
to.
you a little bit. So let me see if I can't give you. Oh man, I hope this don't mess up this thingy, but I'm gonna do it only temporarily.
Oops.
Okay. So we will do this.
Got it.
Okay, there you are. Now you may, I mean, it may go off and on. There it is. See, I set the ULR. Everybody will see that.
Now, where am I?
You're
Oh, I
here.
see. I
You're
see where it
here.
is. Okay, I'm in. I got it. Okay. So now let me read a few of these comments. Um, after he bulked up and got muscle. Okay. Hi, George. Hi, George Skillawful. Hi. Okay. Hi, hi, hey. G'day, everybody. Religion brought us out of the natural state of things, and since that's going away, we are returning to the natural way. That could be, a result of all of this technology is that people realize, yeah, it doesn't work. I mean, it works on one level, but for actual, the whole falling in love, meeting somebody that you really, really get along with, not necessarily online, probably returning to a more natural state. Actually, that's what I will ask. What advice do you have, like, other than online, what alternatives are there for meeting people if you're a true lonely person?
It looks like I froze,
Ah,
according to my cam. So let me see if I can unfreeze my cam.
yeah, you're frozen.
Now I'm going to attempt to unfreeze it. Okay, see if that's any better. It'll take a second to show up.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I removed myself and brought myself back again.
There you go. You're unfroze. Yeah.
Yep. I think
The natural is bad in a way, and the point is that they're doing this on purpose. So, what would be their end game? Yeah, I guess they just want to keep us disconnected, and they want us to be paddling in the shallow end of the pool, I guess, and
I guess so, yeah.
we're all supposed to be bonking robots.
It looks like I'm still froze.
Yeah, you have frozen again.
Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do, we're still here. Just go on and talk and read the chat. I'm going to do something here, and it's going to sound crazy. You're going to see some changes, but I'm going to temporarily remove us from this part. Okay, so you're going to get a black screen, just so people know, okay, that they are going to get a black screen. Then I'm going to try to put us back in all over again.
I'm just reading Off-Grid Messiah's comment about he's talking to this girl online dating, who thinks she might buy, he's going to buy her a car, and she hasn't even given her phone number to him yet. That's crazy. That sounds like someone messing with you. Yeah, she just messing with you, I think. She can't be for real. But where did we get that idea, even as a joke? Where did we get that? Where did women get that idea? Oh, okay, yeah, he's going to buy me this, he's going to get me that. He's going to buy me candy.
I don't know where they got that from.
Where did we
Outside of
get that?
programming, you know.
Well, maybe it's like basically almost like the hooker mentality. It's like, okay, you pay me for sex. So you're going to pay me for this. You're going to, maybe it's that mentality.
It could be because you have a lot of that going on. The mentality, you know, is usury. I mean, it's a usury mentality.
Right. And then guys get the idea. Yeah, it's like women have this idea, okay, he's going to get this for me before I put out or whatever. And then men are probably like, oh, well, I've got to buy her dinner. I've got to do this. I've got to do that and work for basically sex. This is like, it's insane. It's insane. So we're using each other.
Yeah, I unfroze the cam. I had to put everything back in again.
Uh-huh.
I think when I temporarily left to give you the ULR, the program didn't like me doing that.
Right.
So I had to start it all over again. So, okay.
Huh. So Hallie Corwin, is that female or male, Hallie? Am I getting all these chats?
Yeah, you're coming through just fine.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, you know, and as far as off the grid saying just refresh it again, I already did that and that quite didn't work, okay? It was the actual program that allows me to come in here that was froze up on. I've cross-referenced it with Skype. My cam wasn't froze on Skype at all. It was only in the program. So I had to go into the program itself and close it out and re-put it back in, and now I'm just fine. So
I'm just reading Jorskilofels. He says, I think the idea comes from a deep-rooted sense of entitlement that you should buy them materialistic possessions. We were talking about, I'm guessing he's responding to that whole sort of the hooker mentality thing, or the usury, as you put it.
yes.
And what's making me sad about that is that, females are putting a value on themselves, and they're putting a value on themselves as lovers or partners, and that value is going to be something materialistic, like it's going to be a car, or it's going to be a watch, or it's going to be a ring, or it's, we actually put a monetary value on ourselves. I think that's awful.
Well, yeah, but what you're talking about there, Annie, is correct because the situation is still programming, but people have literally put a monetary value on themselves. Think about the hooker. She goes out there and she's putting a value on her body for money.
Right.
And dumb guys come along and they say, yeah, she's worth that much, and they give her that, okay? Now, I call them dumb guys because they've fallen right into it, okay? So that is really one of them, that's where we're going. So, yeah, it is. People put a value on things that they should never put a value on to begin with, okay?
And then a woman is saying, oh, you know, he bought me a car. He must really love me.
Exactly. And Warren's back. Welcome back, Warren.
Hey, yeah, I'm sorry. I got to step out and smoke a bowl for a little bit. But yeah, I was on the commentary on a link that I sent. Yeah, I mean, what y'all's statements on that? I thought it was a pretty good article.
Well,
oh, this is on the article. I really liked the article. I'm having sound problems on my end when you were speaking. It was quite distorted.
About doing because you get some of his posts and you go in some of his blogs, it's like some of it goes off the deep end where he's like, you know, trying to justify rape and fathers raping their daughters and all this shit, which I don't understand that personally, because to me that's just fucked up. And furthermore, I mean, like, you know, how you gonna complain about, you know, women making bad choices and men and all this stuff, right? And you know, and then the problems, you know, all these offspring we're gonna have, and then what's there promote what? Forced inbreeding. I mean, inbreeding is like terrible for the gene pool, bro. I mean, that's how you get some fucked up shit, man. I mean, you know, I mean, I don't agree with him on everything, but on that article, I agree with pretty much everything he said almost.
So, Anna, do you hear Warren okay, or are you still in trouble yourself?
I can hear him, but the article, when he was reading the article, it was distorted. I'd really like a link to that article because I know there was really important. Yeah. I just need some, because I think that it was really important information because I picked up bits and pieces of it. It was really. Oh, you can't hear me?
Okay, I got an idea for you, Anna. I don't know, how much of a charge do you have on your phone?
Let me check. I got 57%.
Okay, stay on Skype just the way you are right now.
Right.
Dial into Blog Talk Radio. I'll VIA bring you into Blog Talk Radio, and just stay like you are right now. If we get feedback, then you can mute your mic on Skype only. Okay?
All right.
But let's see if you get feedback first, because I've got my phone going on speakerphone that I've called into Blog Talk for. I'm not getting no feedback, but I'm wearing my headset. Okay? And I'm hearing everything fine. I'm hearing Warren through the phone. And you're not hearing him because it's probably going up through my mic and he's on speakerphone. I'm hearing him okay, and internal sound is picking Warren up because he's in the live Blog Talk show. So everybody on YouTube is hearing Warren just fine. It's only you that's having trouble hearing him because you're not picking up the internal sound. So I'm going to give you a phone number.
Okay.
Dial this phone number, okay? And then
ready.
I'll bring you in, okay?
All right.
515 602 9630. As soon as she gets it dialed, she'll come in. There she is. I do believe. So I'll bring this. Hello, Anna.
Hello. Am I feeding back?
I don't hear any feedback.
I can hear you now.
Okay, hang on. I'm just going to mute the volume on my Skype because I can hear it on there and it's throwing me off. Hang on a sec. Okay, that's better.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Warren.
Okay, cool. We can hear each other. That's good.
There we go. And they'll still be able to hear you in the show just fine, Anna. They should be able to hear you just fine in the show. Yeah, just turn the sound down a little bit off your computer, and that should make the difference. Adjust the volume.
Okay, hang on a sec. Yeah. That's better. That's better. Okay, now I can hear.
Okay. Well, lookism basically means that people with better looks generally get treated better in society than people who don't look as good. And a lot of that's based around sexual market value, which means the bar is higher for men than it is for women. On average, no, less attractive woman is probably going to get less attention than a more attractive woman. I mean, like, there's going to be like on average, it's going to be like, an average looking like incel guy is still going to be, outranked in society by even even a really very low. Well, I should say low because women don't. Well, he's gonna be outrun by even like a guy who's like, let's say a 6 is going to still be outrun by like a girl who's like a 3 or 4. I mean,
Right.
but basically what you got with look is it is a major component to TFL. Well, not incel. Incel is pretty much another name for TFL. Um,
I hadn't heard of that before. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. It says, no one ever said looks don't matter. He said, look at him. He said, over the past week or so, I have been reading most threads on cuck queers. It has taught me one thing is truly certain. Look at him cannot be denied. And again, I'd recommend going to Face and LMS channel. You get educated on that. If you read cuck queers, you have no doubt run into a large amount of posts with sentiments like the following. No one ever said looks don't matter. It's just that looks aren't the only thing that matters. You just need to get your foot in the door. Or almost everybody is able to attract someone, only a tiny amount won't. Or natural selection won't work if all men reproduce. A small amount of men can't, and they should accept that. Or my friends, incels should have come to terms with the fact that I won't find someone, but I'm happy with that because, and then a long post about leading to a fulfilling life without sex, or love, or whatever. It's just, well, you know how that goes. So I was actually going to write a post document and then examining these common themes in queer comments before incels closed. The point is that even the most frothing of normies acknowledge the truth of lookism and the incels are right, but they have interesting ways of hiding the dissonance. Essentially, they will say that some men cannot ever attract a woman, but believe that incels do not fall into this group. And I've had that happen to me several times. People try to tell me, oh, you're not one of those guys, and that happens. It says, it's a very odd oversight to me. Even if we go by very optimistic stats, true incels, or true cells as we call them, which means hardcore, in other words, like very hardcore incels, like guys that are on the, 3 and under on the 1 to 10 scale,
Right.
It says true cells would be about 3% of the population. That number lines up nicely with the size of incel communities on Reddit and so on, doesn't it? And yet, the normies do not grasp that incels are obviously the very demographic they casually mention. The other thing is more blatant. Normie Eldar, again Eldar, lay down and rot. Reading one heavily upvoted blue pill comment after another, all expressing the theme of sex lover, not important. I'm basically incel, but it's fine because I
and you act like you have no. Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's exactly what. But mine was a choice. But I've reached the point where man says hello to me, I'm like straight away, okay, well, what do you want? And I just distance myself from that, and I've kind of fallen my passion. It just feels dormant, So I think I'm in that place as a female because I'd rather that than go through the pain of what I've been through.
And well, I don't know. His last comment, he left all normies except Lookism. They just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah,
they don't want you to talk about it.
They don't want you to talk about it. It becomes taboo. Now it's taboo.
I know that.
But it's programming. It's really what it is.
My makeup on. If I put my lipstick and my makeup and I've got what I call the scaffolding bras, the pump 'em up bras and all that, and I do all of that, yes, I'm going to meet somebody. But there's part of my brain that's like, okay, I'm going to have to dress like this for the rest of the whole relationship. I can't do that. And yeah, it's the foot in the door and all of that. But there's also another part of my brain that just knows this is bullshit. I'm participating in a dance, but I don't know if I want to do this dance for the rest of whatever. I'd rather get to know who this person is that's sitting opposite me, and I'd rather they get to know who I really am. And so that whole thing, the lookism, for a woman, it's kind of a little easier because we can dress up and put false eyelashes on, and
Yeah, and the truth be told, I mean, women on average aren't judged half as harshly on their looks as men are. I mean, they tell us the opposite in our fucking Orwellian society. But an average man, like if you're like on the 1/10 scale, if you're like 6 or under, unless you have a lot of money, you're probably an incel or TFL.
Right.
Or you gotta have a lot of money. You gotta have insane amounts of charisma. I mean,
But does that mean that?
There's a woman to be incel, to be truly incel, like not to have any options. You'd have to be like, yeah, I mean, you have to be like exceptionally like unattractive by social standards. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like you'd have to. Yeah, like we were just talking before. I think George Scalawful put something out about when a man gets all buffed up, he had no interest for females before. Then he gets in shape, and suddenly women are all over him. It's the same like for the woman that's like really, really extremely overweight or something, and then all of a sudden she loses the weight and she's working out and she's got this fabulous shapely body, and then all of a sudden men come into the picture. It's the same. Well, to me, it's the same. I'm not obviously I'm not a male, so I'm just that's how I see it. I see it from the other side of the fence there.
Well, of course you do. I mean, that's that invisible pole that I was telling you about. If you took a pole and you put the programming for men on one side, the programming for women on the other side, and in the middle of the pole you took the programming you want to both genders, that's what they've done. Okay, so the looksism isn't to be acknowledged or talked about like what Warren was reading there and talking about. And that's more social conditioning. It's just like TFL. To talk about this was taboo. And you have a bunch of different things in society that's been considered by society as taboo. We're not to talk about that. But you have to first ask yourself the simple question. Why would you give a name called taboo and say, these are the topics you are to never talk about? What are we hiding from the public?
Right.
It's kind of like the big elephant in the room that people know about, but like you said, you're not supposed to talk about it. You're not supposed to draw attention to it.
Right.
I'm
trying to get my head around. Okay, this is how I do love, right? And this is just me. But if I'm sitting opposite somebody and really like this person, then I'm going to be like, okay, this person and I get along. It's well, this and the other. But am I going to be able to sit with this person when they're sick? Am I going to be able to sit with this person who's like they got cancer? Am I going to be able to be there for them if they're sick? And I would do those things. But what I found to my horror in my experience is I didn't have partners who felt the same way about me. If I got sick or or if I, lost a job, or if I, suddenly they were gone. But I also have a female friend whose son was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and his wife actually said to him, "This is not what I signed up for," and she left. She left him with a child, left the child, and so now his mother is raising her grandchild, and he's at home sick with his mum. I just like.
And those women too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm saying, go ahead.
Yeah. No. I'm done. Yeah.
I say there women too, and of course I'm not saying that this is you. I'm not saying that you're the one out there chasing all these bad boys. I'm not suggesting that, but there are these women out there that do that, though, man. And you see these guys out here who are these bad boys, man, and they don't even have to be the best looking or the wealthiest or anything like that. But they're bad boys, and they're slinging dope out of their house and all of this shit, and they don't have a job. In fact, the woman's actually paying to take care of him half the damn time.
Yeah.
I guess he makes money, but none of it's legal,
Yeah, well, hold on there, Warren. Hold on there, guys. I want to answer this comment. We have Lone Soldier who says, TFL at war. What do you think about MGTOW? Men going their own way. Well, unfortunately, I'll tell you what I feel about MGTOW. MGTOW was a great idea. It was spawned by a guy named Barbarossa, who was an MRA. He's the guy that created it. And his termination to that was for men to walk away from women and go their own way, and not to be jumping through the hoops and trying to play the dating game to walk away. If enough men had done that, it would have caused women to back up and say, wait a minute, what's going on? And made them do some thinking, and it would have woke a lot of women up. But unfortunately, the powers to be could never allow that to happen. Okay, no way. They spent years dividing us and got us where they got us, and they're not going to let some great idea like that. And then, and I'm not for divide, but if it would cause an awakening, we need that, right? So what they did was they infiltrated men going their own way, and now you have a bunch of fake MGTOWers pushing pump and dump, which is furtherly destroying the genders.
Yeah, because that's all that happens is you end up with a bunch of bitter women then who, yeah. Yeah, I'd heard of that. I'd heard of men going their own way, and there's some horrific heartbreak stories out there, plus, financial disaster as a result of bad marriages and women treating men very badly. So, yeah, I can understand that.
Well,
I consider myself a MGTOW. I'm an incel or TFL MGTOW, meaning I went MGTOW through the path of incel or TFL, but so I still retain the lessons from having went through that and where it's relevant, because it's going to be an issue that's going to have an impact on society, regardless of whether they're looking for a woman or not, or regardless of different people react to things differently, and it's going to play an impact on things that are going on around us. So I'm not going to abandon that knowledge just because I stopped looking for a woman. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm with you on that. I totally understand that, Warren, because the truth of the matter is there are real guys out there that are, I would consider real MGTOWers, okay? Really men going their own way. But, the government wasn't about to, the criminal, the power to be, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, the people at the top, they spent years programming us and dividing us and getting us where they got us. And there's no way they were going to let us let something like that fly. But I do agree with Warren. There are men out here that are actually real legit MGTOWers that are disgusted, fed up, and and women should also be disgusted and fed up, because this is not a one-sided thing. You have guys pushing pump and dump. What do you think that does to the female? Anna just told you a story about a guy, okay, when he got sick. What do you think it does to the female if guys only want to lie and use the words, I love you, and say everything that the woman wants to hear, and the entire time he don't mean it, and he's only there using her.
And I'll just touch on, this is just purely my own experience. And, I did make bad choices and I take responsibility for them. And part of the reason I'm alone is I need to step back and look at why I made those choices so that I don't repeat those kind of mistakes. But the kind of men that I chose, if they had a common thing, I tended to attract like con men. Very, very charming, smooth talking, but they were con men. Like what they would say was not who they really said. What they spoke about is not how they acted. Um, and so, you know, that was my falling and my failing, and I guess that's my ego because I would believe people. I was gullible. I believed what they told me, and if they flattered me or complimented me, I felt good, and so I went along with all of that and reap the consequences of my own foolish choices. Because I didn't look hard enough at who these people really were. And part of the thing too, I've got this accent, I'm in a foreign country, and so people tend to like what is considered exotic, and they're not even seeing who I am or listening to who I am. All they hear is the accent, and so they like that little piece of the trophy or that.
Well, you have the other thing there, Anna. Mainstream media has pushed for a long time now in your books and magazines, and then you had this guy named Player Supreme, okay, who got big on YouTube. And Warren knows what I'm talking about. Game.
Yeah.
You gotta have game.
Yeah.
What do you think that what you just described the type of guy was that was fake about everything he said he was? See, that's part of game.
The thing is too, he tapped into that anger, that male anger, and he tapped into that sense of unfairness and injustice, and then said, okay, well, this is what we're going to do from now on. And of course, people who are already angry or hurt, they're going to fall right into that. Yeah, and he's right, it does work, but it's not, I don't know how you can live with yourself if that's your thing, but there's another thing too in the mainstream media. I was listening to NPR today. Did you hear how the BBC now, all of these top female executives are all upset because the men are getting paid so many thousands, sort of ridiculous amounts of money these people are getting paid. I mean, to me, it's all over the top. But I'm like, why are they pushing this right now in the mainstream media about women not getting paid as much as men at the BBC? What? One is maybe they're trying to cascade.
Well, it has gotten to a point too that at BBC, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on this. I believe I remember hearing an article that said like, in the name of social justice or whatever, that they're pretty much discriminating against hiring white men now. They don't want to hire any more white men.
Yeah, because they want diversity.
Yeah.
Which, okay, that's good. Give everyone a go, give everyone a shot. But at the same time, you don't, you choose people who are qualified for the job. Regardless of colour on. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you go for qualified for a job. I'm not saying you should deny anybody any opportunities, but.
Yeah.
Well, you have more division there. You're seeing a report on BBC and they're complaining about these guys and these positions are making this much money and these women are complaining about that and they're pushing that issue. And the only thing that is that's just to cause more divide.
Yeah, I think that is too. It's part of that whole Me Too, the women, the pussy hat brigade. I think it's part of that, but I don't know.
Well, think about it. How did anybody find out? You got to think about it seriously. How did anybody find out what these executives' pay was to begin with, unless somebody didn't deliberately put it out there?
Right.
I mean, people don't just go around in their jobs, discussing with their coworkers what their pay is. I'm pretty sure there's rules against that in most companies.
There actually is.
Right.
I mean.
So, that tells you right there that it was deliberately put out there. And all you got to do is be halfway awake to understand it was deliberately put out there to cause more divide.
It is, because the next thing that's going to happen now, it's going to be like that Me Too thing. What's going to happen is that it's going to be every company is going to have to disclose to all of the females in all of these companies are going to be saying, okay, well, I want to know what my co-workers are earning, my male co-workers are earning. I guarantee that's going to be the next big thing. Yeah. So there'll be,
that'll be another double standard. Anna, what that'll lead to? Another double standard. Because then pretty soon what they'll do to cause more division is they'll say, okay, the women have a right to know what the males are making. So they allow the woman to come into the office and they tell the woman what the person's making. But then when the guy wants to know what she's making, oh, well, you're not allowed to know that.
Right. Now that would be interesting.
Well, I could see him doing that because, see, it's the double-edged sword.
And so the women are going to be set up. We're going to be set up to be like, we're the duplicitous females, and many will fall right in line with that, voluntarily, I'll admit. But yeah, without really knowing what the agenda behind it is,
Well, the overall agenda, the long-term one, if you really want to get, I don't know if you study the occult or anything. I do. I study all of that. I study, the occult angle behind the New World Order and all of that. And this is what's been going on. It's been going on. An ongoing agenda has been in the works for thousands of years. And the ultimate goal of this through Zionism is the eugenics experiment to create a hermaphroditic super slave. And I can give you sources to look that up on. One of them, which I read in my show right now, which has been going into a lot into it, Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. Also, The Divine Pymander, that was written by Pythagoras way back in ancient Egypt. The holy grail of all hermetic knowledge dealing with this stuff. So what they want at it is they want a hermaphroditic super slave. And see what they're using the LGTB movement for is they're using it as a tool to gradually separate people away from gender-based identity so that they can sell the concept of the hermaphrodite to people easier with less resistance.
Well, what they're Warren?
To be hermaphrodite.
Yeah, but you know what Warren just said right there? I want you to think about something. You can got confirmation to what Warren just said is correct. They're moving you away from identifying the gender. How many genders do we have nowadays, guys? Come on.
52 genders, man.
There you go. In your face, so you know.
According to college libtards.
Whoa!
So see, there you are. They're moving you away from being able to recognize gender right in your face.
I've just realized that you guys, what you need to do is you become a trans female and try to take yourself.
Off the grid Messiah saying that he can't hear me and you, Anna. He can't hear us two. He said
okay.
He turned up.
All right.
I don't know.
Can you hear us now off grid?
Turn you guys up, okay? I can do that.
Can you hear us now off grid? Hello, hello.
Hey, bro.
Okay. I just turned it up a little bit. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Sorry, I was just messing around there. I was saying, so if we have 52 genders to choose from now, we could just basically just become the other gender and date ourselves. How
this is insanity that it's getting to, man. I mean, it's
the true forced loneliness in trans hermaphrodite, you know, my left toe is male and my right finger is female, and there's going to be some dating.
Yeah, it's going to be like Shades of Huxley's Brave New World. Actually, the thing about that book, Brave New World, is that, Aldous Huxley wrote Brave New World, right? His brother Julian Huxley was a Fabian socialist working for United Nations. Hence, that's how Aldous Huxley knew about it. That's when he wrote about it. So when he wrote Brave New World, he wasn't just writing a bunch of mindless sci-fi, you know, for entertainment. He was bragging about, where him and his elite class and where they're where they're taking us, you know, where we're headed at, you know. So I mean, you know, it's the same thing. Like if you look at George Orwell, he wrote 1984, Animal Farm, and a bunch of other good stuff like that, right? Well, the reason why he knew about that stuff, bear in mind that he was coming up around the time, like right around World War II ended, and that's, you know, so his 1984 was his prediction of things to come. And even though his timetables were off, aside from that, I think he was pretty accurate in a lot of ways. But the reason why he knew about it, he wrote 1984 as a warning, because he knew from inside knowledge too, because his father worked for the East India Company.
Right. Do you know a comedian called Russell Brand in England?
I've heard the name.
Right. He really kind of off the wall, crazy kind of new kind of a new age comic. You know, did interviews with Dalai Lama and then that Baptist church down south, that famous one. I can't remember their name. The one that had all of, you know, they were always protesting and everything. Anyway, he did all of this stuff, and then I think one of the famous interviews he did, he decided to blow a guy in a public toilet for the experience and to, you know, talk about it with his audience. You know, can't believe I'm doing this, but there he goes. And obviously, you know, he was dating Katy Perry for a while, MK Ultra victim, and he ran a little TV show called The Truth, which was meant to be True News. But if you look carefully, it had Fabian socialist symbol at the beginning. It was run by the Fabian Society who produced it, and the woman I think who was editing or he was writing for, his girlfriend at the time was a daughter of a Rothschild. So you know, it's just he's one of the new Pied Pipers, I think, that they've just tried to inject to try and captivate a new younger crowd, you know, and they all think he's brilliant. I mean, he is very slick and he's very clever and he's very funny until you start looking through the cracks and you say, oh yeah, I see what this is.
And it's funny this thing, like I don't know if you've noticed this as much as I have. Like George Carlin can get up here, right, and talk about the truth, talking about like, you know, let me tell you who really runs your country. You know, right. they give you you know, you have a sense of, and you don't. And he can sit there and say all this stuff. And people will laugh and they'll agree with him. Oh yeah, he's telling the truth. He's saying to the man, right? But if you or I get there and say the same exact thing, we're crazy conspiracy theorists.
We're crazy conspiracy theorists, and we've got tinfoil hats, and yep.
Well, that's because that's because George Carlin was seen as a comedian. He was seen as entertainment. So when he told you the real truth, it became entertainment. It became a joke. And it was funny to laugh at, even though in reality, he just told you the truth.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you slaughtered the truth, is what you done. Yeah, you took the truth and slaughtered it, and you started laughing at it. So really, in reality, you know who the joke is? The joke's on the people.
To touch on these subjects with anybody who is not awake, it is nearly impossible to find anybody, a partner or a potential partner, that is not asleep. You know, and they just think, oh, you're nuts because you have these certain beliefs or outlooks, you know.
It even got back to the point before I went Nikto, even when I was looking, man, it got back to the point where, I mean, you know, I was a little bit less awake then than I am now in some areas, but I was still pretty much awake at that point. And I I would have been perfectly fine with somebody, even if they weren't completely awake, as long as, I mean, given certain boundaries and certain criteria within their, I mean, I mean, as long as they weren't completely clueless,
Same here, and I don't mind if they weren't awake, so long as they don't ridicule me for it, or you know what I mean, or try to cast aspersions on my mental health because I happen to be awake.
yeah.
Well, when they go to them extremes, they're going to start slamming you and ridiculing you and mocking you and name calling and whatever. Then they're not your friend anyhow. So just get rid of them, do away with them.
Have you ever dated someone who's like a liberal or something too? It's like, oh my fucking god, I can't do this.
There's got to be some of those cookie, wussy ass guys in the world. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm saying this as a man. Nothing would probably dry a woman's cunt faster than the goddamn guy that's constantly sitting there fucking stepping and fucking begging and groveling at her fucking feet. I mean,
right. And that's another little. I will confess to that. That's another curious thing that women have. They, oh yeah, we want him to be. We want equal rights. Fair enough. All of that. And we want the man to be able. We want to be able to do this. We want to be able to do that. But he's got to be manly. So what are we saying? What are we saying? What message are we giving you guys there? Like, okay, we want you to agree with us. We want you to, basically kiss our ass, but we also want you to be manly.
Right. So you got to bend over and.
It's like a knock against women or anybody. I mean, it's fine if we disagree. But I mean, the way I see it is like this. I don't want to go down the road of androgyny because I see where that's taking us. And yeah. And the only other road is, I mean, if we go back to a time where yes, there were gender roles, but they were fairly balanced, and it was more. I mean, with slight meritocratic institutions put into place, it was more natural. Where, like, if you go back into if people are naturally gynocentric, right? Even outside of feminism, if you go, like, look at the MRAs, they're completely gynocentric. It's traditionalism and all that shit's totally gynocentric, right? It's all about, the man being a sacrificial lamb, with slaughter, in order to uphold a woman and shit like that.
I wonder if that's what Jesus was about.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, if you go back to about, let's say, pre-gynocentric traditionalism, if you go back to the actual patriarchy, like soft patriarchy, right? Not like the hard kind of patriarchy, but soft patriarchy. What it does is it's a conscious effort to balance the privileges equitably, right? But women just have different privileges. Women. I mean, which both has always been a lie anyway. But even so, let's say in an anarchist like small community, like where you guarantee your vote count, like I'm an anarcho-patriarch, right? Like even in a small community, like men get together and vote on decisions because men have adopted generally the lead, that down through evolution and things like that. Women can take a man who would take care of her, provide for her, and pretty much be her human meat shield to make sure that she's safe. She needs to play safe. So they have different burdens and different privileges, but at the end of the day, I mean, I won't say it's androcentric or gynocentric. It's I mean, men. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to start treating men and women the same because to me that's just going right down the whole androgynous rabbit hole.
I agree with you on that. It's about like respecting our differences, and I think we, men and women, to me, we complement each other. But where we are, or this group of people anyway, our experiences are not. We're definitely not experiencing the compliments. We're not. We do all experience that disrespect and that divide. Yeah.
Well, the thing is
and
respect.
It's the smallest thing of marriage.
Well, yeah, but see, the thing is respect is something that's earned, not given. And in a relationship between the man and woman, what people fail to understand is it's 50-50. You have to give as much as you take, and that's from both sides. It's not a double standard to say, but it's not a double standard that says the man gives because he's the caretaker and provider, and the woman just takes. Okay? This is why relationships fail, because they don't understand a true relationship between man and woman starts with friendship. And when you have a friend zone, oh, well, I'm friend zoned, I'm out of it. Well, there you are. There's your first mess up. You got to do away with friend zone, because you have to first be able to be friends before you could ever find real love to begin with. And if you can become friends with the female and find real love, then you have to remember to keep it. You have the borders, which means you talk about each other's feelings, you respect each other's feelings. It's not about trying to change somebody. It's about loving them for who they are and respecting their feelings. And that's both sides. See, so it takes work for both sides. It's not a one-sided thing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, like I'm not saying that a man should sacrifice without compensation. I mean, or a woman. I mean, like what I'm saying, like in a what I feel is like a balanced society is okay, like yes, there's still the burden of men being disposable providers, but it's balanced with the fact that the man holds the authority. You know, the woman don't hold the authority, a man holds the authority. So it's a way of even though they have different privileges and they have different burdens, it's still comparatively the same, more or less the same load.
It is and it ain't, because the problem with authority becomes, well, like I said, it's what you'll see what people will bring, the Bible buffs will bring up. The woman is the submissive, the man is the head of the household, and she is to submit to the man and listen to the man's every want and call, because he is the authority, okay? So what you have is further divide. I understand what you're saying.
Take care of her.
Josh Galawful has just got a good question there. When does a woman ever protect her man when he's in danger? And here, I got a lot to say on that, on my experience. I'm one of those that if I'm very loyal, and if somebody has upset or hurt somebody that I'm close to, I will stand up and I will, go into bat, as we say. And but then when I turned around, the person's disappeared, and I'm standing there looking like an idiot because I've got into well, blah blah. I haven't always done it very skillfully, I'll admit, but the person's usually run away, and I'm standing there, yelling on their behalf, and they've buggered off, and I'm like, oh shit.
Well, that is actually a true scenario, because
and I can't say that I've done that, very cleverly. I've got a bit of a hothead.
Well, you know what Anna was talking about there. Hold on there, Warren. What Anna just talked about, I can confirm 100% to be very true. My son's mother, when somebody perceived in her eyes as they were slandering me or trying to do harm unto me, she wouldn't hesitate one little bit to be on her feet and in their face ready to go to blows. Okay, now, what's that?
What I'm saying is here's the real problem. Is to me, like when it comes to women were liberated from their gender roles, and they got to keep the perks of their own gender roles while embracing the perks of the man's role too.
Oh, well,
the man was never liberated from his gender role. So what that led to is equal rights without equal responsibilities.
Oh, I love that. That's perfect. Yeah, you're right on, Warren.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. Well, that part is correct. What Warren said is correct. And let's take a look at what Jay Skillful just said. Men and women are supposed to provide for and protect each other. Okay, not just the man always providing and protecting the woman. That is correct, because it comes right back down to what I just talked about. It's 50-50 if you want a successful relationship. Okay? And to say the woman cannot protect or help provide or do her part as equal responsibility is completely lame. You have to have ego responsibility.
All I'm saying is they both take care of each other in different ways. Like, you know, like I said, I'm not saying that the guy should just throw himself on the sword for a trap thought. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, you know, it's a mutual exchange. You know, yeah, okay, yes, the guy's pretending to provide for a woman, but at a price. At a price that she can't acquire her own resource. Therefore, she depends on the man, right? Men biologically are looking for a woman, or they have sexual needs that the higher sex drive they have to have fulfilled. So it's a mutual exchange. And such a society, you know, because you can promote monogamy and enforce monogamy, and monogamy inhibits hypergamy. And hypergamy is what leads to TFL.
Well, I understand that, but I also understand this. Okay, it sort of goes like this. If you go with the fact that the woman, because it's like an exchange, and the man is the controller, he's the boss, or as the Bible would say, you're going to have a lot of angry women because people let power corrupt the human mind. Money, which is greed, power corrupts the human mind. So now what you've done, she becomes the servant. She becomes the slave.
Even barring the gender stuff, I mean, you talk about the New World Order, you know, barring the gender stuff, has that offended people and turned people away, the majority of people?
Well, I understand that, but all I'm saying is in a simple analogy, nobody wants to feel that they are a slave or below the other.
It's not being treated as a slave or below the other. We're biologically different. It's just different privileges and different advantages. It's either that, or we keep pretending that we're exactly the same, and you know, we just go right along with, oh yeah, you know, let's just all become hermaphrodites. I mean,
I'm agreeing with you, Warren, and I totally love what you just said, and that's huge. But here's the other thing. Like, I'm going to take it back to just a little tiny scenario that we've all seen. You know that thing where, and I know these women, the women that, and they annoy me, these are the women that will flirt with one guy when she's with another at the bar or wherever, we're at a dinner or something. They flirt with one guy, and then they set up their partner. He feels like he's got to go in and fight now for her, and because, you know, the testosterone gets worked in there, and so you've got two guys fighting over this one woman. She gets an ego boost. It's that kind of shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not biologically conducive, man. Like you know, like say for example, I mean, on average, you know, women aren't going to make as good of the leaders because they're more emotional. I mean, I'm not saying the guys don't have emotions, but we're better at dealing with our emotions than women are. You know. I mean, and if you put a woman on the front line, right? If you put a woman in that as your protector, what's going to happen if we send, let's say we got a small community, we have to defend what we have, right? And we send the women to go fight for us, right? Well, what's going to happen when they come across a hostile camp of male soldiers? What's going to happen?
Right. Exactly.
They're going to fuck them up.
Yeah.
You know, and if you say, okay, well, maybe we'll send a mixture of men and women out. Okay, well, now what's going to happen? Let me explain what's going to happen here, okay? Men are going to be competing against their brothers over this woman, and, you know, and not only that, her being the weaker link, you know, they're going to be, because of their nature, going to have a way to protect her. She's liable to get more of the men killed, more of the people killed.
Right.
You know, that's just nature.
Well, I understand that. Have any of you acknowledged what, have you looked at the comment section and even acknowledged Jay Skillful?
Joy Skillful. I think that women are more emotional because they're allowed to be, not because it's biological. I might argue that, because I don't know if you've ever been around somebody when they're pregnant or going through menopause or when the progesterone kicks in before, you know, that there are certain things. It's up to us to manage them, for sure.
Let me ask Josh something else, because he probably don't know anything about a TFL, because he probably hasn't studied anything else outside of out, I'm assuming. What do you think about the hermaphroditic agenda? What do you think about LGTB and everything going on there, and the fact that your global government wants to breed hermaphrodites by telling everybody that we're exactly the same, which is the same thing that the feminists are saying, by the way.
Well, no, you're not exactly the same. We're all our own individual but we're still all our own individual human beings. That's called individuality. Okay? You may not like the same thing as somebody else. You have a different thought or feeling about something that somebody else does. That's perfectly normal.
I'm not saying that there aren't exceptions, but what do you make of the fact that there's an agenda on to convince people that we should be hermaphrodites by telling them there's no difference between the genders and by promoting androgyny?
Well, it's no different than...
What I had to say about that. I think that the powers that be, Illuminati, Cabal, whatever you want to call them, have infiltrated just about every grassroots organisation, the feminist movement definitely, and LGBT, and most of the LGBT community, I don't believe, are even aware of it. And
Correct.
What's happened is, they're now trying to push that we're all the same, and we're not. And there are variations on the theme. Yes, there are variations on the theme, but I think that's the beauty of it. We complement each other. Yeah.
It's kind of emasculating to me as a man to sit here and think the woman I'm supposed to be dating is more of just as much of a man as I am.
Well, no, because I would never think of her as much as... I know, I understand what you're saying, Warren, but I'm going to give you a different aspect. I would never think of her just as much of a man, period, because she's not a man. I recognize the differences in the genders and the biological situation, but I also recognize that if you're ever going to have a successful relationship, you have to work together half and half, and both have to have the equal responsibility of looking out for each other. Okay? And as a family unit, you know, you're not going to never make it if you don't.
I want to address this here. He says, I mean, think about it. It seems like women are more emotional than men, but that's because people are more willing to help women than when they mess up, so they go by their emotions, but men think more logically. Well, let's think about this. That's been going on for how long? For thousands of years? Don't you think that after thousands of years of people doing just that, that it's going to eventually end up, genetically predisposed into people's DNA to some degree?
I think that's a hard one. I mean, I could agree in a way, and at the same time, I can't really totally confirm it, because if that was the case, okay, you're right, it's been going on for thousands of years. There's no doubt about that. You're right, okay? But at the same token, we've got programming that's been going on for tons of years that's now changed the mindset of people, and they are trying to move people away from identity of their gender. That's why we have 52 genders. They are trying to do what they're doing is separating us, and they're doing a good job of it. The only thing I'm simply saying is for a man and a woman.
I don't see how you can sit here and, just my opinion. I don't see how you can sit there and say that there's differences between the genders, and we know that they're biologically different, and they know there's an agenda to convince people that we're all the same, but yet we should just go ahead and treat people like they're the same.
Well, I'm not saying that, but I'll tell you what. If you focus on the differences in the genders in a relationship, if that becomes your focus, don't plan on keeping your relationship.
I'm not saying I'm going to blow the differences up at every damn turn. I'm not going to sit there and say. I'm just saying,